Okay, hello and welcome back. And yes, you're not being mind tricked. I'm switching things up a bit. This week and next week, I'm skipping playing Gilded Shadows, at least on Sunday. I may stream it on Wednesday, but I'm not making any guarantees. But today we are playing the demo of a new game by Grey Enwright, who also did Travelers and Tales, Seaside Inn, and Hedge Wizard. And Touched by Frost, Untouched by Frost? Something like that. So this is their latest offering. It's a demo for a longer game, and this is called Silver Shields. And the the picture at the top of the entry on itch is basically of a flyer that says Adventuring Guild looking for new recruits. Join the Silver Shields today, and in parentheses, free lodging and food included. And then underneath is a picture of a shield, obviously not in silver because it's a flyer. And a bullet point, must know how to cook. You play as the newest recruit in an adventuring guild called the Silver Shields after responding to a flyer. You'll meet and befriend your fellow guildmates and even might find love. The story is focused on all the day-to-day elements of a life lived in the guild and downtime and travel between adventures. This is a demo, and it was made for the Amare Games Festival this year. Grey will be continuing to work on the full game and will hopefully update on the itch.io. So the demo includes 18,000 words, a nameable protagonist, 6 sets of pronouns, and the ability to choose multiple sets, customizable abilities and backgrounds to create your adventurer, plenty of scene variations based on your background choices, 6 characters to get to know, 2 game overs, you can pet a dog. The full game is planned to include, entirely subject to change, many more words, 5 love interests, 2 female, 2 non-binary, 1 male, poly routes, a non-romantic route, nameable animal companions, unlocking new areas around the guild camp, unlockable CGs, and gallery. So the cast are Freli, Lightshaper, she, her. She's human age equivalent of 25, a dwarf, bundle of light and energy like the sun itself. Jinn of the Starspire, Zir. I'm never sure how to pronounce the X in that. Human age equivalent of 23, foreskin, would much rather talk to animals over humans. I hear that. Serendipity, they, them, human age equivalent of 28. A cambion, a scoundrel, and flirt, always down to gamble. So basically, the equivalent of a tiefling. Wit is he, him, a human age equivalent of 26, a moon elf, an ice mage with a frosty disposition. And Radia, she, her, human age equivalent of 34, flame spirit, the disciplined, calming presence around the camp. And Darius Rastami, he, him, human age of 50, human, the commander of the Silver Shields, who's perpetually tired. So this is all on the front page for itch. I haven't even looked at the game. So I did open it briefly to make sure I could stream it okay. And I noticed there was an issue when I basically went to preferences. This background didn't come up. It stayed with the main background. So welcome to the Silver Shields demo. I guess we're starting now. Adventuring Guild looking for new recruits. Join the Silver Shields today. Free lodging and food included. Must know how to cook. This is on the front page for itch. Take a seat across from the commander. It had been a trek to reach the encampment, and it feels good to be off my feet finally. He shuffles some papers, squinting at them and dipping a quill in the ink pot beside him, carefully screwing the lid back on. So this is Darius. I hope the journey wasn't too taxing on you. Getting here in one piece works as a way for us to make sure you're up to the task. Glad to see you made it. He gives me a firm nod, resting his hand on the parchment. He's got large hands covered in tiny scars and bruising across his knuckles, along with a considerable amount of hair. I'm Commander Darius Rostami. There isn't a hierarchy in the Silver Shields, but for all intents and purposes, I'm your, well, I don't enjoy the word leader. I suppose I should say but I'm here to provide guidance and make decisions for the group with plenty of input from the rest of the guild. But I'm in charge of arranging contracts and keeping the place running. He holds up the parchment. And the fun stuff, paperwork. Sarcasm. I've just got to ask you a few questions as a new recruit to the guild. Standard questions, I do it with everyone who signs up. That alright? I nod my consent and he grabs the parchment, holding it close. Why did they write it so damn small? I can't. He says between gritted teeth before offering me a quick grin. The first one is easy, at least. What can we call you? What is your name? Geez. Let's go with Justana. I never picked that. So let's go with Justana for this time. Justana, is that spelling right? Good, good. He glances down to the next question. And how do you prefer we refer to you? First pronoun. Ooh, Faye. Okay, so we get she, he, they, z, g, Faye, z. Or they. Goodness me. Okay, so normally I would go straight for the she pronouns because it's me, but let's let the dice decide for once. So there's 6 options. I have a 6-sided dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4. J. Choose your second pronoun. So same thing again. Let's roll it here. It'll 2. Him. He marks that down with a nod. Good to know. Alright, next up I'd like to know a little bit more about your combat experience. As an adventuring guild, we are often called upon to face against dangerous creatures, and it's important to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Let's see. Hang on, let me write this down. I mean, I'll probably do something... Hello. I'll probably do something completely different once the game itself is out, but might as well. So, name. Pronouns. Whoops. So it was him. How have you been trained combat-wise? Martially with weapons, magically, a mix of both martial and magic. Okay, so again, we're going to use the dice here. Still 6-sided dice, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know some people go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see. 3. Mix both martial and magic. You've trained in multiple disciplines? Battle mages are hard to come by. What does your martial training consist of weapons-wise? Sword and shield, bow and arrow, daggers. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to turn out to be an interesting character. That doesn't count. That was cockeyed. 5. Bow and arrow. Those actually are the weapons I usually pick when I'm starting a character in a combat game like an MMO or something. I prefer to do archery first, just because that just synergizes well with my playstyle. My first character in World of Warcraft was a hunter, and that playstyle clicked with me, so I always pick that first. Range then. Good, we could use an archer. And your magical talent, how does it manifest? Control the elements, healing, illusions. So, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, I could do a D4, and if I get 4... I could do like a D4, and if I get a 4, then I reroll, but D6 is more fun. Yeah, I mean... My brother, I think, he doesn't really have a preference, but my sibling, I know she preferred to play melee characters. Like, she originally, when they started playing World of Warcraft, they picked a druid, and they went balanced for their specialization, but it didn't work. So they ended up creating a paladin to level with my hunter, and that clicked for them, so they went back to the druid and picked Feral? Yeah, Feral, and that worked for them. So that was cocked again. Let's move that a little more. 4. Control the elements. Interesting. This is, wow, nice. Survive with command of the elements on your side through your weapons is very impressive. He writes all that down, taking his time. Very good. For the next question, I'd like to know what talents or skills you found that could help in both day-to-day life at camp and through our adventure missions. Coercive, observant, academic, cunning. Okay, so we basically, looks like what we're coming down to is a mix of a ranger and a druid. So, let's see. So let's see what the dice say, and then I'll decide if I want to stick with it. I know I have a D4 in here. I know there's a D4. Hello, there you are. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One. I don't like coercive. Let's go with observant. This is why I do this with pencil. I will eventually do a mix of all of the different mix of these, but you know, this is a demo. Let's have some fun. Make note of my answer. We're breezing through. Good, good. I want to know a little bit about what you were doing before this. Call it curiosity more than anything else. Get a feel of what your origins are. Okay. Okay. My family comes from nobility. I was a bounty hunter. I lived secluded from civilization. I was a scholar. I served in a temple. I was involved in some shady business. My past is my own. We're not going to pick this. We're going to pick one of these. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these two seem this. I don't know. These all could be interesting. So let's figure it out. 5. I served in a temple. As did a few of our other members. Another question is follow-up. Do you worship any of the divine pantheon? We can make accommodations for your worship here. We have no temple of encampment yet, but all faiths are welcome. So D4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically odd numbers yes, even numbers no. 4, so no. And that is welcome too. And yet you worked at a temple? He chuckles. I sense a story there, but perhaps another time. Marking that down, he nods. There is one thing I am obligated to ask. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the region, but under the jurisdiction of the Islador Empire, all mages must have their arcane license. It allows you to practice magic legally and without issue, and for the Empire to keep tabs on powerful magic users. It's often acquired either through the Empire itself or one of the temples is able to provide it. Maybe you got it in the temple you worked at? But before I can bring you on, I just need to confirm that you have a license. If you don't, well, we can discuss that further. Looks at me expectantly. No, I don't have one, I never will. No, I don't currently have one. Yes, I have one. This is a law-abiding person. Wonderful, no issues there then. I wasn't expecting any. Well, thank you for answering all of those. It's been very informative. I'm sure the others in the guild will be eager to meet the new recruit less formally. Oh, one last thing before we get going. It said on the recruitment poster that we required our next member to be a cook. We haven't had the best of luck, any of us. You're able to cook, right? Maybe you were raised in Druid Monastery, but now have to travel the world before you decide to devote yourself to the faith? That's an interesting one. I like that. That was a requirement. I can't cook. Yes, I'm comfortable at being the party cook. Wouldn't have taken the job if I couldn't. Let's go with this one. You have no idea how glad I am to hear that. The last person who tried to sign up. He shudders. Anyway, you're here now. We'll all be happier to have someone with actual culinary skills around, that's for sure. Know how to run a microwave? I actually can cook. I'm not like a Michelin starred chef or anything, but my food is generally edible and tastes pretty well. Okay, actually I'm going to go back and save this choice just because I have some ideas. Okay. He places the paper away. Well, just honor, we're done. You're our newest recruit, though the only one you have to answer to is me. You've done plenty of answering already. We take on missions and scout out the areas around the Adolfell Woodland, the Ironblood Peaks, and the Carwick Swamp in the region of Renalian. Sometimes people contact us about problems, sometimes we run into them ourselves. This place is known for being high on monstrous and unnatural activity. It's why the guild was started in the first place. Yes, I do have elemental magic. I mean, I can... With being around, they don't need foot and tinder to start a fire, just fireball. Our commitment is to keep the region and its people safe, though most of your time will likely be spent in camp rather than out in the field. We have some wooden walls around the place and scouting towers to keep an eye out. We also have a small training yard, but we hope to continue to expand as we take on more contracts and have the funds for them. Our guild is small, so we need everyone to help out with the mundane day-to-day tasks. As we get the guild size, you'll be our 7th member. We're a tight group, but we're all glad to welcome someone new. You'll be paid after each successful mission. Part of it we keep to expand the guild's encampment, the rest is yours to do as you please. During the missions, you're expected to help your fellow party members and to watch each other's backs. Remember, there's no shame in running as long as you all run together. While you're at camp, you'll be our camp cook and need to provide for breakfast and dinner for the rest of the guild. Our pantry is rather non-existent, but some of us hunt, fish, and forage and can provide you with what you'll need. We have a small farm to grow certain herbs and vegetables, and a chicken coop, though mostly we rely on us making runs between here and Timber Hall, a nearby town. Now, is that herbs or herbs? When it's not mealtime and you're around camp, you'll be expected to participate in the everyday duties and help out, but you'll have food, shelter, and protection. He leans back in the chair, squinting at me. I have another question, not for record keeping, just me wanting to pry. Why did you decide to join up? Adventuring life isn't for everyone. I needed the money, I was looking for fellowship, I needed a place to lie low for a while. I want to do something for the greater good. I'm not sure. Let's go with this one. No, actually, it's the Brits who say herb, but Americans say herb. Well, that's generally the difference that I've heard is that Americans tend to drop the H and Brits tend to pronounce it. And in fact, Eddie Izzard is British, and there's a whole section of one of their stand-up routines where they're talking about the fact that Americans don't say herb, they say herb. That's the spirit, isn't it? What we do here is for the good of everyone in the region to help keep them safe. Stops his knees as he stands with a groan. Yes, that is such dad energy. Why don't you take a walk around the encampment? I've talked your ear off enough. No one's out on a mission right now, so you'll be able to meet the rest of the guild. But yeah, basically Eddie's like, there's a fucking H in front of it, so you say herb. Oh, that's a lie. Freli was running an errand, but she should be back by tonight. And Justana, welcome to the Silver Shields. Dad grunts and bracing himself on his knees to stand up. My dad does that too. Okay, save, just cuz. I head out to the rest of the encampment to have a look around and see where everything is. There are several different tents scattered around and a fire pit in the middle. To the side there's a very small garden and a few clucking hens hanging around their coop. What catches my attention is the sound of a barking dog. Just around the side of the small guild hall is a shaggy dog hopping excitedly in front of a crouched figure. The dog circles, barking. You know I'm not allowed to give you any more today. The dog makes a sad whine. Yes, that is a very good point, but Darius said you asked for more food from all of us, so you're being fed several times a day. Is this true? The dog sits. Tag? I think you mean tail. Tail wagging. Well, Darius said differently, so perhaps I shall have to speak to him again. The dog yips and then turns its head towards me and bounds forward, eager to greet the new person in camp. Oh, I'm gonna pet the dog. I'm gonna pet the dog. I let it smell my hand. Crouch down and place a hand out firmly to let it smell and test me out before it presses its head into my palm to be pet. When I glance out, the person who is talking to the dog is gone. I blink, looking around. Then, peeking around from the building, is an antler. A face follows soon after. I get to pet the dog. G has soft brown features and tall antlers crowning Z's head, furry legs ending cloven hooves. Z's eyes dart around and the dog turns to Z's side, landing at Z's feet with a flop. Z crouches down and pets it. Peach, what do you think? The dog lets out a woof, eagerly wagging her tail. Oh, G is the new recruit? G glances at me and back to the dog. I forgot Darius was bringing in another member. Peach wants to know your name. Z's voice is soft and breathy, and I have to strain to listen. I'm just Sana. Okay. G nods, and doesn't give your own name. And the dog is named Peach? Peach barks in agreement. She's very excited to meet you. Yay, the dog is female. So many times the dog is automatically male, and it's like there are female dogs. How do you think dogs are born? Peach barks again, and your eyes go wide. Oh, I also forgot to introduce myself. Everyone says I forget things. I guess I forgot they said that. I'm Jin of the Star Spire. G tilts your head, taking a deep breath in. Those in the woods said there was a traveler. Who was in the woods? The birds and the squirrels, the foxes and rabbits, they've seen, heard, and watched. Peach is a very good girl, the goodest of girls. They can speak to you? They speak to all of us. You need to learn to listen. Z fiddles with your hands, never quite making eye contact. Most of your words are directed somewhere near my shoes. Why did you join the Silver Shields? Because of Darius. He was the first, I was the third. Who was the second? But she just shakes her head. Do not ask that of him. Promise? Okay? I won't, I promise. Good. Keep it. He was first, I was third. He brought me from the Star Spire, let me see the world. Where did he take you from? I just answered a flyer. There's more. I told him to place a flyer. I could see another shape in the distance, and now you're here. A shape? In the stars. There's much to be seen in the stars if you know how to look. G closes your eyes for a moment. There was a battle mage carving fiercely a path forward. When G opens your eyes for a moment, I swear I can see the stars reflected in them. Okay, sorry. 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Speaking of cooking, I have to do some of that after I finish the stream. Okay. The constellation was bright last night. I made a mark of it. What constellation? The ringing bell calling the masses home for safety and protection. Jin glances away, fiddling with your long fingers again. I've told others what I've seen. They don't believe me. Oh, cool. So you get this. So I assume this first option doesn't show up if you don't pick Observe It. So it seems silly to not pick it, since I picked that trait. I believe that you believe in it, but do you believe in it? Perhaps you can show me sometime. I want to verify with my own senses. Then I shall. Peach lets out a bark, winding around Jin's legs. Peach says I can't keep you. Peach barks again, nudging against your leg. Oh, in that the others will be excited to meet you. She glances around and without another word, she bounds away with Peach hot on your heels. I let out a breath and recenter myself after all of that. Deciding to explore the rest of camp, I make my way to the fire pit in the middle. There's still a chill in the air, winter hanging on even when the snow is gone. I'm grateful to warm my hands for a moment. Yeah, that's cool. Like in Baldur's Gate, you get unique options depending on if you pick, say, a drow as opposed to another elf or a half-elf. Or there's definitely a lot of special bard options, and I saw a couple special ranger options. And I know there's definitely barbarian options as well. But yeah, most of the options I've seen have been based on your class or your race. There was, I don't think, so many bard options. Yeah, I was watching a streamer play as a bard, and he had so many options. I think he was a little spoiled for choice. Meanwhile, I'm playing a drow ranger, and most of my special options are because I'm drow. There's still chill in the air, winter hanging on even when the snow is gone. I'm grateful to warm my hands for a moment. The fire twists and dances beneath my fingertips. Across the fire pit, I can see two figures standing together, their voices ringing out. You know what your expectations are. It's the stupidest duty any of you could put me on. Yes, let's make the ice mage tend the fire. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, there were a couple options that came up because I played a ranger, but most of the unique options came up because I played a drow. Which was part of the reason that I played a drow, because I was like, they specifically separated drow from the other elf options because there was so many unique reactions to the drow. So I was like, let's play a drow. Calm yourself. We have company. One of them turns towards me, a woman, older perhaps, so I can't tell what age. Her gaze pierces right through me. I expect some malice or wrath within it with how fiery it seems, but there's none of that. It's steady. The same cannot be said of the man next to her, his face pinched into a cold sneer. He's an elf, one that's frail enough that I think a strong breeze could topple him over, especially compared to his sturdy companion. You must be our new recruit. It'll be a pleasure to have a new face around camp. Sick of the rest of us, are you? Perhaps only one of you. Straightening her shoulders, she inclines forward in a half-bow. My name is Radia, and my companion here is Wit. Wit peers down at me, harsh lines at the furrow of his brow. Another mage. His eyes flick to Radia. Gonna keep him on a tight leash, too? Radia just folds her arms in front of her. Please, pay him no mind. Gonna get a muzzle for me now? As he speaks, the fire in the pit wavers and suddenly goes out with an icy gust of wind. She holds up a hand and he quiets down, slumping back with a roll of his eyes. Freli gives me an apologetic look as she crouches down by the fire and pulls out a small matchbox. She strikes it against the side and lights it once again, a much weaker flame. You know, you could light it a lot faster. There's a value in doing things the traditional way. You never know what circumstances you might be in. Are matchboxes naturally existing in the wild? I've been taught many ways to start a fire with the resources available. You have a resource right at your disposal. He snaps a finger. He never turns away from her, never looking at me once when he speaks. Radia closes her eyes. We're hardly making a good impression for our new recruit. My apologies, friend. What impression should we give off, then? She won't last long anyway. Wit! Her voice is stern, disapproving. What? You know I'm right. The last two didn't. He finally turns to me, and the temperature drops a few degrees. What do you think you're doing here? Out for glory? Goal? You won't find it. You'll lose your mind to boredom before you actually make a scent. You're being rude. Let's let the dice decide. So I have a d4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Thank you for the warning. Thanks for the heads up. He just grunts out a reply. Maybe they wouldn't leave if you stopped scaring them off. Because I tell the truth? Then what are you still doing here? I don't have a choice. He refuses to elaborate. Interesting. It's a complicated situation. He wasn't a recruit like you are, like most of us were. Can't you leave? He snorts, a violent sound. If I could, do you really think I'd be here? So they're holding you here against your will? He lets out an annoyed sigh with the questions that I'm answered with another eye roll. There are many more factors at play. He's no prisoner. He grits his teeth. Feels like it. I nod, not really sure what's going on there, but sensing it's a delicate subject. Radia's fingertips steeple together. She lets out a sigh through her nose. I hope this hasn't put you off. Things are not always so eventful. There's much peace to be found out here in the forest, when there is quiet. She side-eyes Wit, who's sulking beside her. I believe we're due on patrol. I'm glad we had a chance to meet. Wit just huffs and follows her as they walk away. The fire crackles and pops, smoke curling skyward and bringing warmth to the area again. I warm up by the fire, watching the ice slowly begin to melt and drip down into the grass below. The wash of heat is welcome in a rapidly dimming sky. I long for the endless summer nights. I hear someone behind me, a quiet chuckle? What a troop we are, thinking that you took a wrong turn, darling. Oh no, is he channeling Astarion? I turn around to see someone stretched lazily outside their tent, fanning themselves with a hand fan. They snap it shut, and their long, snaking tail wraps around it and places it down on the grass. Ooh, prehensile tail. Interesting. Hate to be the one to break it to you. Everyone only gets stranger the longer you know them. Hi, James. Completely different game this time. They roll over, resting their pointed chin on folded arms and looking up at me with a fanged grin. Lucky for you, I'm the only normal one here. Normalcy is overrated, for the record. Everyone has been nice, or everyone has been nice and it's a lie. Things have been a little weird. Everything has been a lot weird. Let's let the dice decide. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Everything has been a lot weird. I nod in agreement. Is everyone like this here? They chuckle. Oh yes, only some are better at covering it up. Adventure attracts the strange and lonesome, those on the fringe. Who else would camp out in the woods away from the comforts of the city? Noble absence of sparkly espers. Yes, this week is the demo for, it's called Silver Shields by Grey Enwright. And next week, I forgot to mention this, but next week, the next chapter of Andromeda 6 is coming out. So I'll be streaming that next week. My plan is to play Gilded Shadows on Wednesday, if at all possible, but I don't know. Something may come up and I won't be able to do it. But if nothing else, I will be back to Gilded Shadows the week after next. And are you strange or lonesome? Terribly lonesome. Why don't you come and join me, darling? In a fluid movement, they're back to lounging outside the tent and offer me a spot across from them on the small rug they have set out. I take a seat. They reach out a hand and I shake it. They're warm and their nails are long and sharp, but very well taken care of. Seren, the pleasure is all mine, and yours, perhaps in time, darling. Justana. Their tail taps against the ground and they lean a cheek on their palm. Aren't you something? Tell me, Justana, would you consider yourself a lucky person? Yes, Chapter 8 is coming out next week. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. No. I shake my head. Oh, you poor thing. Not easy, is it? Are you very lucky? Oh, one can't get very far without having a little bit of it. A coincidence, a chance, just the right timing. Isn't that all what life is? All we can hope for is good fortune. From seemingly nowhere, they produce a set of dice. Let's play. They dance the dice between their fingers. It's very simple. We both roll secretly and decide to keep the roll or roll again. Once the roll is secured, we both roll the second dice openly. Highest total wins, but there's a catch. Every time you roll your first dice, you subtract that many times from your total. Let's say I roll a 3 and decide to roll again. I get a 1. Terrible. So I roll again and get a 5. My second dice lands on a 4 for a total of 9. Now only 7 because I rolled again twice. Now, for a wager. They tap a finger against their chin. Gold is boring. No, a dare. To be cashed in at any time. You in? They hand me 2 dice and keep 2 for themselves. I take my first one and shake it in my hand. Let's watch Seren. I roll my dice. It lands on a solid 4, but my gaze is focused on Seren instead. They re-roll a surprising number of times, each one very quickly, just flipping the dice over. They glance up and grin. Ready for your second roll? They roll it once, dice landing on a 6, and they grin. I roll my second dice, and it lands on a 3. 7 total. I didn't re-roll. 11 for me, minus 1 for 10. That's not right. I saw you re-rolling several times. They blink and stretch out on the blanket again. Are you accusing me of cheating, Justana, when we're just getting to know each other? I know what I saw. Fine, I re-rolled 5 times. That puts us both at 7. We never decide on what to do with the tie. Thanks for coming at all, James. Have fun with your kids. Why would I believe you? They've gasped, a hand over their heart. Because I'm very upstanding and honest. You just caught me in a moment of weakness. They placed the back of their hand on their forehead and closed their eyes, pretending to faint. Just trying to impress the newest silver shield. They crack one eye open and grin at me. Is it working? Not at all. Well, you have some sharp eyes there. I'll remember that for next time. You win, and you can dare me all you'd like. By that I mean only once, and no refunds. They lean on one arm, tail flicking lazily across their legs. Looks like my luck continues. They wink. Why, I got to meet you. Another stroke of good fortune. I'd say it's all rather serendipitous. That's me, after all. Seren's only a nickname. I actually go by Serendipity. Their tail pokes my arm and they grin. I think we're going to have plenty of fun, Jasana. They cup a hand around their ear. And what's that I hear? The clop of hooves, and it's not Jin. Too many of them. That would be our dear shining star, Freli. She'll be eager to meet you, I'm sure. Glance across the camps and see an approaching horse and carriage. Go on now, I'm not going anywhere, just lounging the night away. They wave me off, and as I start making my way over, I notice that I have a small dice in my hand. It must have slipped me, but I have no idea when. I tuck it into my pocket. I head across the camp to where the wooden gate is pushed open by a stout figure before she grabs the reins of the horse and trots him along inside. Who's a good boy? Yes, it's you. An extra apple for that journey. She has to stand up on her tiptoes to stroke his mane and begins to unhook him from the cart. Glancing up as she notices my approach, her face splits into a wide grin. Commander Rastami said there would be a new recruit when I got back. She marches her way over and shakes my hand with both of her own, eagerly. She's a dwarf, easy to tell both by her height and the wisp of hair across her sideburns and cheeks, which she scratches at. She has an amulet around her neck, the symbol of the sun. Yes! Female dwarves with facial hair! Bring it! Rio, pleased to meet you. I'm Freli. I introduce myself as she leads the horse over to the side. Wish we had a proper stable for this one. It's just a wooden roof overhead and a food and water trough. She chews on her lip, taking off his riding gear. This is Cricket, our brave beast of burden. He flicks his tail as she takes his saddle off and hangs it up on an iron hook against the structure of the wall and dusts off her hands. So, the commander said you were going to be our new cook, right? Thank Maiden. We've been rotating. Let me tell you something. I think some of them are trying to poison us. I mean, I never needed to know how to cook before this. How am I supposed to learn on the fly? She waves a hand in front of her as she talks and laughs. And here I am, yammering away. I was just at Timber Hall, picking up some supplies and stuff for dinner. She smacks a sack of potatoes in the cart, hopping up on a little step and hoisting it over her shoulder with a surprising display of strength. Yes! Don't just stand around and leave me hanging. Half this stuff is for you, after all. She laughs and I grab a bag and help her take it outside the guild hall. We're lucky Timber Hall is only a couple of hours away, and it's a beautiful ride. We take turns going into town for supplies. The merchants all know us there and have our orders ready. Yes, let us romance a dwarf, male, female, I don't care. So I think I know what my first romance is going to be when the full game is out. It's a pretty small place, nothing like Ailsador. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. You're not from around here, right? I thought Darius mentioned something like that when he got your response letter to the flyer. We trek back to the cart and she grabs a large crate full of various fresh vegetables and hauls it back, still talking the whole way. I might be a city girl, but this whole region is beautiful. Renelian used to be all elven, did you know? You can find tons of ruins and artifacts left behind. That's part of why I wanted to join the Silver Shields. So much history to be found out here. Oh my gosh, be still my beating heart. I love her even more. There's a lot of wild, untamed magic which can be dangerous, but... She shrugs, hoisting the crate against the side of the building. Lots to learn from it, too. Aislador. Okay. Oh no, we're not rolling the dice. That sounds interesting. That all sounds really cool. So you're a historian? I don't go that far, just fascinated by the subject. I love going out and exploring and getting my hands dirty. I have some of the most amazing things I've collected. I mean, my bachelor's degree is in history and political science, so I am right there with her. When you get to Descent, you're probably gonna laugh your ass off when you get to it. Just saying. I'll have to show you sometime. We drop the final load of groceries and she puts her hands on her hips. Alright, that's everything I brought in. Thanks for your help. The rest of them never lift a finger. Oh, let Freli do it. She's the strongest. She laughs heartily again. Only joking. Commander Osami and Radia always pitch in. Yeah, the Descent DLC is, I wouldn't say I actually have a favorite of the Inquisition DLC. They're all interesting in various ways. Like, Trespasser, of course, kind of caps everything off. So you can't actually get to it until you finish everything else, basically. Because that ends the game. But the Descent DLC, you learn a lot more. You learn more about the dwarves and stuff, and there's some lore that goes into it. And then the Jaws of Hakon DLC, you learn a bit more about the previous Inquisition. So those two are my jam because it's all about history and lore. And then Trespasser is just, it's a great story, and it's a great way to end the Inquisition story. Yeah, and what's funny is you do work with two dwarf NPCs, and the voice actors for them both did voices in Star Wars The Old Republic. The others, though, if they would only let Radia lead them through some morning exercise together, I know they could build the muscle they need. She placed her hand on her chest and makes her voice both haughty and whiny, and even though I only met him briefly, I instantly recognize it as a whip impersonation. Oh, why do I need the exercise? I'm a spellcaster, not some barbarian. She throws her hands up in the air. Well, what happens when you're right up against a monster and the best course of action is to hit it as hard as you can with your staff? But no, then it becomes, save me, Freli, save me! She cracks up, leaning an arm against the wall to brace herself. Oh, I adore her so much. Have fun with that whenever you're put on a mission with wit, let me tell you. She tilts her head up and looks at the setting sun. Looks like I made good time after all. Got caught up on the way back, navigating the Adolfell. Oof. She winces. Not my strong suit. Half the time it feels like the path is leading you astray and you get all turned around. Our next project should be building a road between here and Timberhall. That's what I keep saying. But no, it's unrealistic and out of budget. She makes her finger quotes in the air to punctuate. The Elsadorian Empire has barely made any progress in charting this territory, but they have been starting. That's how we can make gold, because they need to hire us to clear the area of monsters. She flexes her arms. They know who to call. We operate here in the Adolfell woodland and to the south around Corrowick Swamp. Creepy fucking place. She visibly shudders. And your boots get full of muck. No, I much prefer it when we get sent to the Ironblood Peaks. It's the mountain range to the west of here. Lots of old mining caverns. And new ones. Tough job. Glad I'm not doing that. She smacks her forehead suddenly. Good news, I think I've talked your ear off long enough. It's nearly supper time. Who needs one of them fancy timepieces when your stomach already knows? I'll let you get to it. We've got just a little pantry inside. She shows me inside, bringing the groceries in with us as she starts to unload. The shelves are pretty barren. She is so goofy, and you're right, she is a ray of sunshine. We've got a couple of pots, pans, knives, and such. I'll let you find them and get comfortable in here. She puts a sack of potatoes in the corner and rocks back on her heels, looking proudly at it. Great to meet you again, Tisana. I'll let the others know we're getting ready for dinner. She leaves me in the storeroom, looking around at the limited ingredients and wondering what exactly to make. I rummage through what's available in the pantry, searching for things I can work with. Grabbing a large kettle, I look it up and down and hope none of the mages in the group have been using it as a cauldron. I have to jog out and get a bucket of water from the well that's just outside the compound to fill it up. Then I get it boiling over a fire. I wash my hands in a little basin, wiping them clean with a soft linen towel that I place back up on the rack. I determine what I have to work with. There's a decent cut of beef that's fresh, so I decide to take that and set it aside. With all the vegetables here, I figure I can make a very nice soup. Find a little workspace and kitchen, I get started on chopping up an onion. My eyes water instantly, I can barely see. I wipe them on my shoulders, suffering through with a sputter as I place them in a bowl. The worst is over, I can move on to chopping the garlic. Using the heel of my palm, I strike the bulb of garlic into pieces to discard the flaky shell. Then I cut the carrots into discs and add bits of celery and put it all to the kettle. I prepare the beef next, dicing it into cubes and sizzling it separately to cook before adding it to the pot. We have a small drying rack of herbs, and I add thyme and parsley and open up a burlap sack that's half full of salt. There aren't many spices available. We're too far away from the capital to get any, but it's starting to smell good as I start with a long wooden spoon. One of my favorite shows I like to watch on Netflix over and over and over and over and over again is called The Great British Cooking Family Showdown. And it's basically a cooking competition that pits various families from around Great Britain against each other. And one of the challenges was they were given a box of ingredients and told to cook something with that. And one of the families is a mix of Chinese and English. The husband is British, but the wife is from China, so their daughter is mixed. And they used the herbs to flavor the chicken since they couldn't use the usual spices they were used to. And apparently it came out really good. I take a spoonful and blow on it to cool it, steam wafting away. I take a bite. It would be better with barley, I figured, but we don't have any, and if I had a chance to make a proper broth, that would have been nice. But for our first night without all the ingredients, it's not bad. I let it simmer for a while, and I clean up and dunk the used pots and cooking utensils in a large basin that I scrub clean and then hang to dry. I examine the kitchen area. We could use some better facilities and more things to cook with, I figure. I'll have to make a list, and for groceries, too. Then I lay out 7 bowls on the counter and carefully ladle some into each one. Some of it dribbles off the side, and I grab a clean towel to wipe it up. Freli ducks her head back in with a bright smile. Something smells good. Need a hand carrying them out? I nod, and between the two of us, we carry them out to the campfire where all the members of the Silver Shields are waiting. Took you long enough. Serendipity grunts, tail swishing back and forth. We're starving out here. Starving, I tell you. Put out they finally have a cook. At least you have a cook and don't need to make it yourself. Dishonor is right, be grateful for what you have. Is that another of your life lessons? Write that one down, kid. I pass out all the bowls and spoons and everyone takes a seat around the fire and digs in. I take my own, still critiquing what I could have added differently. With her mouth half full, Freli calls out to me. This is amazing! We're never not having a chef around again. She swipes at her chin with her wrist. Who has a napkin? Radia passes one over to her. Thank you kindly, Justana. It is much appreciated. If I close my eyes, I can pretend that I'm back in a beautiful city in a tavern with a nice soft bed beneath me and a goblet of wine. Why couldn't we get wine again? Do you know how expensive it is? Then get the cheap stuff. Ew, no, we deserve better than cheap wine. If our dear commander had some new jobs for us. I glance pointedly at Darius, who's already wolfed his down. I'm working on it, Saren. There was a missive the other day. I think there's something in the works. Well, that's what I get for putting you in charge of the rookery, I suppose. Am I not supposed to read the letters? Letters are meant to be read. I know things work differently at the Starspire, but why do you even bother? G knows you're not supposed to look, but G does it anyway and plays the innocent card. He is lying. White lets out a gritted sigh and Radia holds up a hand. Eek, your soup is going cold. And you won't warm it up for me? Not a chance. Finish my soup, feeling warm, full, and content as I listen to everyone chatter amongst themselves. Is this what dinners will be like from now on? Is this my new home? When I look up, I see that Darius's eyes are already on me. His one good eye looks red in the firelight. He holds up his empty wooden bowl like it's a goblet made of gold. A toast to a new companion of the Silver Shields, and one who I hope will be a friend to us all. Justana, to you. Everyone does the same, raising their bowl and toast. Some smiles, at least one half-hearted scowl, but a toast all the same. I figure I should say a few words. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored and happy to be here. I hope that these friendships will last a lifetime. There are bright smiles, even if Wit has a very pointed eye roll. Freli gives me a pat on the back as everyone falls back into their conversations. Okay, gonna save again, just 'cause. I clear everyone's plates for the night, the wind getting chilly, and Darius shows me to my tent before he too heads to bed. I can hear Serendipity laughing and talking with Freli, the two of them playing a dicing game. Jin's gone as soon as dinner was over, and Roddy attends to the fire while Wit sits with a book outside his tent. My tent is barren compared to theirs, but it's warm and there's a small cot with a bedroll on top that I crawl into and blow out the tiny candle. Jisana? Glowing slightly in the dark, she appears at the entrance. My apologies for disturbing you. I just want to give you something. It's still cold out, and I thought it best you have something to keep you warm. In her arms, she has an orange woven blanket. She takes a few careful steps in and drapes it over the bedroll. I make them myself, for everyone in camp. Good night. Sleep well. With a nod of her head, she closes it flat for me, and I pull the blanket up. It's warm and snug, and I wiggle my toes beneath the blankets. I can still hear the quiet sounds of all the new people I met today in the background and close my eyes. Sleep finds me easily, and I start to suspect that this place really could be a new home. I wake up early in the morning to the sound of a rooster crowing. It startles me out of sleep, and I rub my eyes and pull myself out of bed. The air is chilly and the grass is damp with dew as I begin the process of waking up. It's strange to wake up in a new place for the very first time. Yep. I can already hear a few voices. Seems like some of my new guildmates wake at the crack of dawn or earlier. I take this time to unpack, sorting through my belongings in the pack I brought with me. I leave my bow and quiver resting against my bed. I have a few spare changes of clothes I set out, along with personal grooming items. I have a collection of letters and journals from over the years, documenting my memories and people I've encountered. I make my bed and fluff the pillows up. For being a cot and a bedroll in a tent, it was surprisingly comfortable and warm. I carefully adjust a few adventure materials I have with me, and hang up the rope in my pack along the side. Then I dig into the depths of my backpack. I have my old robes from my time in the temple. They still smell faintly of incense. I take a seat on my bed, which bends beneath my weight. Unpacked and settled, I take a deep breath of that sweet morning air and let myself sit with my thoughts for a moment. I joined because I want to do something good for the world. I still hope that I can accomplish that through the jobs here. It's important to me. There's a small basin of clean water just on the edge of my tent, and I use it to wash my hands and the back of my neck and face, feeling refreshed and ready for the day. After breakfast, I have my first patrol. It's simple enough. I keep an eye out from the small wooden towers and look out into the forest. It's thick with trees, and I watch as birds rise from the canopy and sing. There are other sounds in the woods, critters dashing through the trees, but nothing abnormal, nothing to be concerned about. Darius told me that they occasionally have creatures or monsters that want to try their luck, or bandits who want to rob us of food or treasures. But those are rare, and the longer the Silver Shields have a base here, the less they have tried anything as word got around that it was a fool's errand. It gives me a chance to stretch my legs as I do a round of the camp and climb up each post. A tiny squirrel runs along the fence, stopping only to chatter at me before running in the other direction. It's nearing midday when I head back to the guild hall to ask Darius what else he wants me to do. As I approach, I see the commander in the training yard sitting off to the side with his arms folded and head down like he's asleep. Meanwhile, Freli and Radia have wooden sticks and shields and are sparring with each other. I stop and watch. Freli has a large stick and holds her shield out in front of her, planted firmly on the ground, while Radia circles her. She has smaller sticks in both of her hands. She eyes her up as they circle together. Then Radia lunges like a viper, but Freli already anticipates it and has her shield blocking both strikes. Good. Again. She attacks again, faster and pushing Freli back against the edge of the sandpit. You're going to have to strike back. I don't like hurting you. You assume the blow would even land. That makes Freli bring her own stick forward to strike at the taller woman. In a flash, Radia has one of her sticks pressed against Freli's side and another at her neck, trapping Freli's arm in a hold. Never allow an enemy's taunts to affect you. They'll do anything to win a fight. Despite looking like he's taking an afternoon nap, Darius's eyes are bright and watching intently. You know who Darius reminds me of? Duncan from Dragon Age Origins. Freli wipes her brow with a cloth, and Radia takes a swig from a water skin at her hip. And her hip? That should be at her hip. When you swing with your blade, keep your grip on your shield firm. You need to be in a position where they can't retaliate. She leads Freli through the motion, pretending to strike again, but this time she has a shield ready to fend her off. Freli's stick slides through the space between Radia's arm and stomach, and Radia falls to the floor. I am defeated. Freli laughs and grabs a hand to help her up. Oh, Justana, come to see me as a prevailing champion? She raises her stick into the air in triumph with a giggle. Radia dusts herself off and inclines her head towards me. In our off time, we enjoy keeping our skills sharp. I believe knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses is important for being a cohesive team, especially on missions. Freli is a strong opponent. Out in the field, she is the one we rely on to draw enemy fire. I can take the hits! She clanks a stick against her metal armor and then shield. I rely on speed and agility. The best attack is when your enemy doesn't say coming. She twirls the sticks in her hand with an expert maneuver. Darius grunts his approval. Speaking of Justana, why don't you take a turn in the ring? Told me what you can do, but I like to see it in action. Radia is our most experienced fighter. Why don't you test your mettle against her? Radia nods and readies herself on one side of the training yard while Freli takes a seat with Darius. Let's go, Justana! Dropping me just like that? I cheer for you every other day of the year. Someone else needs a turn. Radia nods her head at me, the picturesque form of cool, calm, and composed. I didn't say this before, but I love the fact that Radia is basically the fire genasi, and you would expect her to have that fire temperament, but she doesn't. She has that cool, calm, composed temperament going for her. And Wit, who's the ice mage, you'd think he'd be the cool and calm one, but he's the one who lets his temper get the better of him. I love that contradiction, and you'd expect someone like Freli as a dwarf to be that very grim, very Thorin type, and she's not. She's that ray of sunshine and just always grinning, and I love it. I love that they're not what you'd expect. You did that with Travelers and Tales, too. Blunted weapons and our training sticks are to be used. Magic must be controlled. If injuries are sustained, they must be minor and treatable at best. I just want to see what you're capable of. No foul play. I'm gifted a bow and arrow with blunted training arrows. I test the pull of the drawstring. It's weak and hardly comparable to mine, but I will make do. My arrow tip ignites with fire and I launch it at her. To my surprise, she catches it. The fire doesn't seem to hurt her. A good trick, but you don't know all the information on your opponent. I notch another arrow, but by the time I do, she's standing over me and grabs the arrow away. You have a good form. It's unfair to test you in melee combat, but you've done well. We both straighten and brush the sand off after the spar, and she gives me a nod and passes me a water skin to drink from. Thank you for that. Darius has been watching intently the entire time. I'm impressed. You are no slouch. There have been some who can talk up their skills, but not everyone can back it up. You're also lucky that Radia is holding back. Just wait a couple of years. She stops pulling her punches. I simply push you to be your best, and you are older now. How long have you been trained together? I didn't think the guild was that old. It is not. We've known each other for a long time. Darius collects his things with a nod and heads back into the guild hall while we all sit along the side of the building to rest after the spar. I served in the Sunrise Sanctuary. It is where we met. It is the Temple of Maidon within Elslador. What's the sanctuary like? Very busy, full of life and people, a place of community. Parents always knew that children would be safe when they were dropped off there. It is the largest temple in the city. Maidon is special to the people there. The beacon is the leader there. She offers wisdom and guidance and makes all decisions that affect the sanctuary. Freli chuckles. The bacon. Roddy and she share a laugh, and Freli must notice my confused expression as she waves one hand my way. That's what I called her when I was little. I grew up there. Well, more than that. She's her mother. I love it. She's my mom. They both say it at the same time, and Freli laughs again. The Beacon Light Shaper, Clan Light Shaper, has been involved with the sanctuary since it was built. I don't know if I'll ever be worthy enough to be the Beacon myself, but I still want to do right by it, and Maidon. That's why I'm here. I want to help people, and this is a more direct way of doing it. How did you become involved with the sanctuary, Radia? The Beacon saved my life and took me along a new path. She opened my eyes to a different way of life and was patient with me when few others would be. I'll never know what she saw in me that inspired such conviction, but I am forever grateful. Are you close with your family? Okay. Time for the dice to answer. Okay. D6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4. Yes! Awesome. Very close. I plan on writing to them frequently while I'm here. Jin trades the ravens to deliver letters from here. She would be happy to help get them sent on their way. Don't put anything in there you wouldn't want them to read. I've got a lot of siblings, but I'm the eldest daughter. A lot of them left El Salvador and the sanctuary long before I did. It is good for you to experience the world beyond its walls. She snorts. Tell that to the bacon. I did. Radia gives me a nod. It was good to spar with you, Jisana. I think you'll be a good person to have at our side in battle. She taps Freli's shoulder. Again now, your footwork needs improvement. You're worse than any drill sergeant. I lead the two to their training and head past the front of the guild hall. The door is partially ajar and Darius is squinting wearily at a piece of parchment engrossed in whatever it says. There's a flurry of activity over to the right that catches my attention. There's a small garden with freshly tilled soil and a chicken running around, clucking. Jin is sitting cross-legged in the dirt while Serendipity grunts as they lug a cloth sack over. Why exactly do I have to do this? I should be painting the guild hall or something with much less labor involved. Darius said it builds character. He doesn't think I have enough character? That would be a first. They aren't the only one looking miserable. Wit is leaning against the fence, face screwed up in disgust. It's a punishment. Have I done anything wrong? Well, I haven't. Darius peers out the side window. You've been slacking. Back to work with you. He shoves the curtain across and closes the door, presumably to stop hearing the complaints. He's got me there. Jin perks up when she sees me. You should join us. Please, another pair of hands. What are you doing? Jin gestures around the plot of land. It is planting season. The air is right. It will be helpful for you. We are growing our own food here. And your herbs. Don't think this is a selfless task. They are helpful. It is not selfish. You're only complaining because you've never needed them, Wit. What do they do? They are medicinal to treat various ailments. I was the... Ailments. Ailments? Brain, please. Ailments. I was the... G says the word I can't even begin to process. What? The... G gestures with a hand, opening and closing a fist. Healer. Herbalist. At home. I am here too. I must grow the things I cannot find in the woods. G gestures to a shovel. You should help. It's less question and more order, so I pick up the shovel and begin to dig. Serendipity follows, planting various seeds into the garden. Wit grumbles the entire time, attempting to plant various things by himself at the fence. It's labor intensive and I'm sweating soon. A fat hen waddles by, clucking at me. It says you are not going fast enough. Oh, is that what she says? Alfie, how could you? We're doing our best here. Alfie the hen begins to eat the seeds and Serendipity has to pick her up and bring her back to the coop. The rooster crows at them. None of the animals here like me. I swear, you're telling them mean things about me, Jin. I would never. They come to their own conclusions. Serendipity clicks their tongue and shoots a glance at the rooster. This isn't over, Crowbar. He crows at them again. All right, I won't touch your lady again. We continue to work slowly, haphazardly, but still work. Once we are done covering the soil back up, Jin kneels beside it and begins whispering to all the plants, encouraging them to grow. I don't know if it's magic or if it's just something G does. G glances up. We need more seeds for the next section. Wit, go and get them. You're not allowed to order me around. You don't outrank me. Ask nicely and I'll consider it. Jisana, go and get them. I'm not your first choice. I'm hurt. Jin, I'm hurt. I'm not your first choice to order around. You are now. He doesn't listen to me. When you have something worth listening to, try again. Serendipity grins. You should go with him. What if he gets terribly lost? How do you get lost in this? Ugh! Frost suddenly crests all across the fence as he grips it. Shoo! You will kill all the seeds. Wit rolls his eyes and takes a chance to storm away. I follow after him, mostly because I need to get the next bag of seeds. He rolls around on me, arms crossed. You guys seriously think this is what you want to do? Excuse me. This work is demeaning. It's beneath me. Radia thinks she's playing the hero by signing us up for this. And we're doing what? Digging holes in the dirt? Whatever reason you're here for, there must be a way out. Sorry, that's me. My character, not him. Whatever reason you're here for, there must be a way out. There isn't, and it's none of your business. Is gardening really that bad? It's not about the gardening. They set me up for failure. Tend the fire, tend the garden. Things that ice kills. His jaws clench tight and he fixes me with a harsh glare. Why are you even here? I want to help others and do good things in the world. Oh, gods, you really think one person can do anything to change the world? It's a shit world. Why would you want to help it? Because I believe in it. Because I live in this shitty world. You don't know the first thing about this country, do you? Where are you from? Don't ask me questions. We're not friends. He storms off to his tent without another word, leaving me to grab the seeds and bring them back on my own. Wit checked out? I'm surprised he lasted this long. Jin looks up from Jir nursing at the plants. Strangely, some of them are already starting to sprout. If he would make an effort, then maybe he wouldn't get jobs he hates. Or maybe he needs to do things that are better suited to him. He might not complain as much. Nothing is to his liking, except maybe whining. I help finish up with the gardening, planting the seeds with Jin and Serendipity for the rest of the day. I like the music. I make dinner again that night. I chop up vegetables and add them to a large pot and stir in the rice. Sprinkling in seasonings and adding a sauce over top, I let it come to rest before plating it up and delivering it. Commander Darius helps, taking a few of the plates and handing them out. I see him sneak a sip from a flask at his hip. Jin gestures for him to share, but he shakes his head and tucks it away. We take our meals outside by the crackling fire. The wood smoke and burning cedar fills the air and drifts up the multitude of stars above us. I feel like there's a word missing. Like it should be dressed up to the multitude of stars above us. The moon is nearly full, a few days off, but still big and bright and illuminating the camp. It's chilly tonight, and I barely suppress a shiver and try to find room by the fire, but it's pretty crowded. I'll need to pick someone to sit next to. Ooh, bird options! Jasana, sit next to me. Of course I picked Freli. I'm gonna romance a dwarf because no other game lets me do that. So the only customization we do in the game is pick a name and pick pronouns. So anything else is up to us. Then I'm saying Jasana is a tabaxi. That's the D&D name. So, anthropomorphic cat. She waves me over eagerly, having noticed me looking around for a spot. I take the seat next to her and she beams. She points down at the plate. This is really good. I haven't had a lot of stuff like this before. What do you usually eat? Lots of meat. Oh, do you wish this had meat in it? No, not at all. It's kind of nice for a change. I grew up eating mostly dwarven dishes, and those are like meat stew, pot roast, grilled meat on sticks. I mean, those sound delish to me. And mushrooms occasionally as the vegetable. There's a detour, a shortcut. Shortcut to what? Mushrooms! Are mushrooms vegetables? I think they're culinarily a vegetable, but classified as fungi. Did you know there are thousands of types of magical fungi that grow in caves around here? Some theories suggest that a few of them are sentient, just like you and me. My brother doesn't like mushrooms to the point that if there's any mushrooms in a dish, and we usually put them in spaghetti or ravioli, he will pick them out. There's a fungus among us. Maybe not just like you and me, but still. Is that a reference to Mike and its perhaps, from Baldur's Gate? No, I don't want to cook mushrooms anymore. I don't think those types are edible anyway. Well, we're edible, to a dragon at least. Are we the equivalent of dragons to mushrooms? I love this train of thought, the way it just kind of goes. It's like an ADHD brain, you know, one thought leads to another, and then you're like, how did we end up here? Wow, maybe. She giggles and pushes her shoulder against mine. You and I would make a pretty good theorizing pair. We could write a book. All about mushrooms? But that wouldn't leave much room for anything else. I love this. Laughing at her own joke, she kicks her feet. Well, about anything really. I want to write a book about this region and everything I've experienced and studied. I think it would be really helpful for people because so much is unexplored. I think you should do it. You think so? Would you read it? I nod, and that makes her beam from ear to ear. Someone has got to tell me all about the 1,000 different types of magical fungi around here. You've got a message to spread it to the world. This is my solemn duty. She places a hand over her heart before cracking one eye open with another laugh. Then she twists her lips. Sometimes I wonder. But she cuts herself off and shakes her head. Ah, never mind. Another time. What is it? Just silly thoughts. I've got to go to bed anyway. I'm always up to see the sunrise. She gives me a wave and takes my plate to drop off at the guild hall. I head to my own tent and get ready for bed. Just vibe into the music for a bit. It's early the next morning when I get up to make breakfast. I want to make it before everyone else gets up, but that dream goes out the window quickly. Radia is sitting cross-legged outside her tent with her hands resting on each knee. Her eyes are closed, and the chilly morning air doesn't seem to affect her at all. I love the personalities that are coming through for each of them. Well, maybe not Whip, but I get the feeling that he's complaining more for the sake of it. I'm kind of like, I don't want to not, I am going to eventually romance all of them, including the poly routes. But Whit is the only one who's kind of, I think he's the sort of character that you kind of have to get to know him a little bit. Like, another streamer that I watched, she didn't like Asterion at all through the first act. And then she got to know a little bit more of his story in the second act, and she's like, oh, that's why you're the way you are. Okay, I get it. She glances up, giving me a warm smile. Good morning. Sleep well? I nod and head over to her tent. This is interesting. So there's her loom. I'm assuming these are what she weaves. Some pottery. Did you? Always. Join me. Taking a seat, she stretches her hands out in front of her, flexing her wrists back. It is peaceful here before the camp wakes up. It's a way to steady my mind and center myself for the day. Do you ever meditate? Like I said, I'm going to pick all the observant options because I can. I use it for the same way. I take time for myself and it helps clear my mind and focus. Then you understand. Breathe with me. I do as she says to match her position. I close my eyes, attempting to clear my mind and focus on my breath. I can hear her own steady breaths beside me. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back. I've been drinking a lot of soda and it's going through. Okay, I'm back. Sorry it took a bit. It comes naturally back to me and I'm able to slip to a comfortable ease. We're quiet for a time before I finally crack an eye open to look at her. She's fully focused and her posture is perfect. Mastering your mind means mastering your body, and I intend to be a master of both. It can be so easy to fall into unhealthy habits or to say or do things you don't mean because you are not in control of yourself. Self-discipline allows you to live your life exactly as you intend to. Her eyes flicked to me. I'm in this only for myself. Everyone lives their life differently, but it is my perspective. Okay, We're gonna use the dice again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. What if I like bad habits? I bet to love all of my bad habits and vices. She laughs. And there's no shame in that. It's what makes you human, isn't it? She straightens her back again. Emotions are a tangled mess. They are not, she takes a breath, inherently evil. Jealousy, disgust, annoyance, these are things we feel naturally. Even anger? She meets my gaze, and there's an intensity to it, like she's searching for something. I'm not sure yet. Do you ever get angry? Never. I do not allow myself. I meditate. I practice self-control. But you still feel it then? No, because I have mastered my mind. She lets out a breath, takes in another one, holds it for a few seconds, and releases it. What are you doing up so early? Making breakfast. Don't let me keep you then. It was good to speak with you. I get to my feet and we head over to the guild hall kitchen. Begin to prep breakfast, grabbing a large frying pan and striking up the fire. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone peeking around the corner and I startle for a moment before I realize it's Jin. Brought these for you. Ji places a basket on the counter. It's full of eggs. These are from Alfie. Do we just have one hen? One hen, one rooster. Darius wants more, but we must expand the gardens first. We take the eggs and crack them, frying them up with sizzling bacon. It would be nice to have other livestock, a cow or a goat. We have goats at the Star Spire. They have so much to say, mostly complaints. Like what? So what's a goat? What other animals do we have here? There is Peach. She's been with Darius for years. And Cricket. He enjoys taking rides in the woods and the fresh apples from the village. And Alfie and Crowbar. He's very protective over her. Then Manny. She's very clever and sends letters out for us. She enjoys finding shiny objects, so keep hold of your coin. Now, is it a goat or the goat? G tilts your head. Do you need any letters sent? I've been meaning to write to my family, letting them know I got here safe. Jin nods. Manny takes it to Elsador, and they send it further from there. Do you ever send letters home? To the Star Spire, was it? G shrugs. They don't send things to me. When they do, I'll respond. Do you wish they would? It is different. We're expected to leave the nest to learn and grow, sail the stars on our own. Okay. Not the goat, that's Freli. Okay, I will agree with that one. Freli's the one who takes the hits. And I have Darius. He talks to me every day. He doesn't need to send letters. When did you meet Darius? G closes your eyes and thinks for a moment. 40 moons ago. 3 years. How did you meet him? They came to the Star Spire. They were hunting a beast who roosted in the mountain. I was their guide. When Darius was injured during the fight, I was the one to heal him. He asked me to come with them, and it was time for me to stretch my wings. Who's they? Jin glances around, lowering your voice to a hushed whisper. I told you not to speak of him. Oh, I didn't know. You didn't... Ji shakes her head, cutting me off from speaking any further. Not here. Not now. He finished cooking the eggs and bacon and played up 7 dishes. So I'm guessing there was something traumatic happened with the second person in the group. I cut a loaf of bread or loaf? Carefully buttering a slice each and putting it on the plate. Jin takes your own plate as your hands are too wobbly for me to trust them with anyone else's. Freli yawns and stretches, sleepily taking a bite. Wish we could get coffee here. You do not need coffee. It gives me energy. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it depends on what you mean by a load of bread. I almost wish that I liked coffee, because then it could help me focus in the mornings because I have ADHD and caffeine helps me focus, but I don't like coffee. and I don't want to bother with adding creamer to it. So I just drink soda at lunch, and that usually keeps me focused for the rest of the day. Jin begins to boil a pot of herbal tea over the embers of the campfire, passing it around. Serendipity takes it gratefully. Aren't you a dear, dear? Wit wrinkles his face up at it and waves them away. You should have some. It's good for you. I don't like tea. Radia takes a sip from her cup. That is why you're so cranky all the time. He bristles but does not relent. Sometimes caffeine will keep me up if I drink it late at night, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know when it will or when it won't. But I remember when I was younger, we used to go to a meeting on, in the evenings. It was either Monday or Thursday, depending on how old I was. And I would have a yes, he does. But yeah, I would have a soda during the meeting, and I would sleep fine when we got home. You slept in. You missed our morning meditation. Just Donna had to take your spot. Z can have it permanently. Darius clears his throat. We've had a missive recently, a new mission, paying a good amount of gold to scout out one of the ruins in the woods and return with what we find. Freli's hand shoots up. I can take the lead on that. He points at her. Took the words out of my mouth. She beams, sitting back on the log and shoveling eggs into her mouth. Darius nods on a piece of bacon, glancing around at the rest of the group. Take Serendipity and Wit with you. Serendipity sidles up next to her, lounging an arm around her shoulder. We will make a talented team, no? If I could keep you focused. I'm always on task with you in charge. You keep me on my toes. Then the fourth should be Radia. He shoots her a look as she just shrugs. It's up to the commander, and it'll be good for you to be with the others. Guess I finally get a break from you leering over my shoulder. I think you like the leering. You would have begged the commander to put her on every mission with you otherwise. She's the only competent one of the lot of you. Shut up. Darius pinches the bridge of his nose. Last one on the mission will be just Donna. I figured it would be just Donna. You're the newbie. I want him to get some experience out in the field. He gives me a nod and tears off a paper for Freli to look over. Pack your things, you'll be leaving this afternoon. The mission should take a couple of days. And our chef has left us already. We'll make do, kid. Breakfast is finished and orders are received. The camp disperses as I head to my tent to pack a backpack, or my backpack, full of things I'll need. Let's go with this one. I'm eager to get going, quickly filling my pack and going over everything I'll need. This is so exciting! With my backpack full of supplies, I sling it over my shoulders and gather up everything I need before meeting my adventuring party for this journey at the cave. Oh, that's it? We don't get to actually go on the adventure? Okay, just because I'm curious, let's go back to when he asked if you can cook. I think it was... that was a requirement? I can't cook. Darius lets out a long sigh. I probably should have led with that, huh? Got to know you and all. Listen, I hate to do this, but we're in a real bind here. Maybe you could come back in a couple of months once you've picked up some skills? You're refusing me because I can't cook? It was one of those SID requirements. I can't have another mouth to feed without someone to do the feeding. I don't think this is going to work out, Justana, but it was lovely meeting you. Good luck out there and make sure to read through everything before you apply. Game over, not a suitable candidate. I thought it would be one of those. Oh, I had to try. I had to see what the response would be if I picked the I can't cook option. I figured it would be one of the bad endings. So that is it for Silver Shields. Yeah, it looks really interesting, and I definitely want to get to know these characters better. I want to know what's going on with Wit and Radia. Especially because, where is it? There it is. One of the poly options is Radia and Wit. Oh, and the other one is Freli and Serendipity. This will be interesting. Because I do like Serendipity too, but Freli she's the one who really caught my eye. Plus, hello, dwarf woman, and I can romance her? Yes. So, 2 game overs. Where's the other one? Where does that one come up? Oh, there's just... I'm just staring at the art now. So, okay. I don't know if I actually saved at that point. No, I didn't. So the other options, if I say... Okay, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to remember where that question was. I think it was here before this one. Yeah. I say rather firm on that. I understand not every mage is comfortable with the requirement, but unfortunately I cannot have a renegade mage as part of the guild. Thank you for your time, Justana, but I don't think this is the right fit. I wish you the best of luck. Goodbye. No place for a renegade mage. Okay. That was fun. I was wondering. Yeah, I did see that you can say, no, I don't have it, but I can get it. But I'll get it. So, yeah. Okay, so that's everything. Yeah, definitely don't have time to do anything else. Hopefully, I will be able to stream Gilded Shadows on Wednesday. If not, then we'll do Andromeda 6 next week. But I definitely want to continue playing Gilded Shadows. The story is really interesting. And of course, I'm looking forward to the other routes in Gilded Shadows. But I will definitely be messing around with the choices in the demo here to see how that affects what other choices I get. So thank you everyone for joining me, and I hope you have a good week, and see you next time. Bye!